So, I don't normally do this kind of video. ROM hacking and game coding and the like are beyond my scope. Even when I did used to dabble in Battle Network ROM hacking, I wasn't really good at it. But while I was playing the real Battle Network gameplay patch for Rockman EXE 4.5, I noticed something strange while I was fighting in the Silver Tournament as Thunderman. Before I tell you what I found, I need to give you a briefing. Rockman EXE 4.5 is different than the other games in the Mega Man Battle Network series in that the gameplay is stuck in Operation Battle mode, which basically means that you tell your Navi how to move and when to attack, and you feed them battle chips to use, but you don't manually control them like you do in the other games. Around 2015, the ROM hackers of the Rockman EXE Zone forums had created a patch to make the gameplay more like the previous Battle Network games, which has recently been updated with various improvements. As for how they made this patch, that's Greek to me. I did a brief skim of the forums and patch notes, but I don't know how they made this possible. Did they reconstruct the combat system from fragments of data in the original game's code? Was Rockman EXE 4.5 just built on top of Battle Network 4's engine, and this whole mode was in the game but sealed behind a wall of code? I don't know. But if I had to make a guess, I would say that it looks to be the latter, at least to my non-expert eyes. So, I was in the Silver Tournament, playing as Thunderman, and was up against Starman. Since I wasn't quite used to Thunderman's playstyle yet, I was taking several consecutive hits. But when I opened my custom screen, I noticed something odd. There were two more battle chips available that weren't there previously. When I hovered my cursor over them, I noticed that they had no chip code, and the screen dimmed, accompanied by a heavy breathing sound effect. I also found that while trying to select them, if I picked one, the only other chip I could select was the other one that showed up with it. This is the exact same process that is used to access dark chips in Battle Network 4 after the theme park scenario and the Shade Man boss battle. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording during the first instance, but I have been able to recreate this several times since. Now let's back up a little bit. In Battle Network 4, if Mega Man takes too many hits in a row without either recovering HP or dealing a significant amount of damage to an enemy with the battle chip, his emotion state gets set to worried. This makes dark chips show up, tempting you to use them to get yourself out of a jam. These chips have no code, can't be selected with other chips, and when the cursor is hovering over them, the screen dims and you hear heavy breathing. Checking the chip description will result in the text, "Dark chip created by Desire." Going back to Battle Network 4.5, what I think I found here are remnants of the dark chip mechanics left over from Battle Network 4. While the chips that show up are not dark chips, and the chip descriptions are normal and they don't give your Navi status bugs or permanently dock your HP by 1, the process is exactly the same. The reason I'm making a video on this is because I can't find any mention of it online. I didn't dig super deep, but after a couple pages of searching Google for Rockman EXE 4.5 dark chips, I didn't find any documentation of this. The only relevant mention I could find was a snippet from the cutting room floor, confirming that dark chips are in the game, being inaccessible leftover data from Battle Network 4, as well as a GameShark code to reactivate the chips, but I couldn't get it to work properly. When using the code on an unpatched version of the game, well, minus the English translation patch, the dark chips did appear in my pack, having varying chip classes. Sometimes they would be Mega, sometimes they would be normal. But whenever I tried to equip them in my folder, the game would tell me that I didn't have enough chips in my folder to leave the screen, since you had to have 30 chips equipped at all times. There were also several other broken battle chips with missing text and icons. One such broken chip was one that had the description of a dark chip and was wood elemented, but it wasn't Dark Lance. See, there's Dark Lance. This is another one that has a dark chip description and a wood element, but it's not Dark Lance. Stranger than that, I found two other chips, both that did 200 damage. One was a Giga class and one was Mega. When looking at this cheat code in the patched version of the game that has the real Battle Network style of combat, the only two chips that showed up were the last two that I mentioned, and now they had chip codes. For context, in vanilla EXE 4.5, because battle chips are used differently than normal, they don't have chip codes applied to them, but with this patch, they are reinserted. But anyway, the Giga chip was coded D, and the Mega chip was coded G. If I had to venture a guess, I think these two might be Duo and Grand Prix Power, the e-reader exclusive battle chips from Battle Network 4. However, I can't confirm this since the game won't let me use them, but that's the best conclusion that I can draw. So, dark chip data is left over in Battle Network 4.5. So what? Well, let me get back to my main focus. I noticed that this only occurs with certain Navis and during the tournaments, but I could never get it to happen during virus encounters. Granted, I also haven't tested this on every tournament with every Navi, but after running this test on the Silver Tournament with all 21 playable Navis, I can confirm that this only happens with some of them. The dark chip screen mechanic only shows up with Thunderman, Shadowman, Starman, and Bass. It does not do this with the rest, at least not during the Silver Tournament. I tried this on both a reproduction cartridge with version 1.1 of the patch, as well as playing this on an emulator on my computer. I feel like I should also state that while playing on the emulator, I was given an unselectable battle chip in the dark chip slot. It had no icon, no description, and it could not be chosen at all. I was also using a few different save files downloaded from game FAQs while running these tests, since not every file had all the navis where I could enter tournaments with them. In addition to that, I think the reproduction cartridge I'm playing is using a different version of the patch, since there are some differences between versions. The patched ROM I have seems to be more recent. So now comes the question of how and why we get the Dark Chip select screen. Again, it appears to be due to a leftover game mechanic from Battle Network 4, the emotion window. This is a new mechanic introduced in the game to add a little bit of combat flavor. It would change based on your performance in battle. If you land a counterattack, you gain full synchro and your next battle chip does double damage. If you take too many hits in a row, you become worried, and that is when dark chips appear. In addition to that, worried Mega Man could not perform a double soul, which was the game's armor change mechanic. The emotion window is not present during Operation Battle, and it was reactivated during this patch. The emotion window icons for most of the playable navis were made specifically for this mod, but the only two that exist are your normal state and full synchro, since the other emotional states are left unused. Double Soul is also not present in Battle Network 4.5, so Mega Man is stuck in his base form, and the Soul Unison button is replaced by a Swap button, which changes what your navi's charge shot will do. What determines your change in emotional state is an unseen counter that fluctuates based on your performance in battle, assuming that you're not in either a Double Soul or an Evil state. The value apparently cannot go lower than 1, and in Battle Network 4, it cannot go higher than 255. Once it reaches 255, you will enter full synchro without needing a counterattack. Countering the enemy with the battle chip that does not dim the screen will instantly make the value 255 and activate full synchro. The exact numerical values for each of these attacks are apparently not very well documented, but in short, taking too many hits will lower this counter. Once it gets below a certain value, 65 points, you will be worried. Recovery battle chips provide a different number of points, and you have the chance to bring yourself back to normal. With this information, as near as I can tell, these mystery battle chips appearing in my custom screen are remnants from this system. The visible signs for the emotional states were not implemented into this game, so we have no way of keeping track of them outside of this. And it also seems that the angry and evil emotional states are not in the game either. This still doesn't answer the question as to why only certain navis can access this dark chip selection and why it doesn't work during virus battles, but it is kind of funny that Mega Man can't use it. You think that since he was the only playable character in the previous game, that he would have a wider range of in-game emotions than the others. So, what does this mean? Well, I'm no expert on game programming or ROM hacking, but from what I can gather based on what I have seen, I think this means that Rockman EXE 4.5 was built using the engine of Battle Network 4. It looks like we could have gotten a true expansion to Battle Network 4 with normal gameplay, but they really wanted to push that Battle Chip Gate and Operation Battle gimmick, so we got this instead. Again, I'm not sure if anyone has documented this elsewhere. If anyone watching this knows more on the subject, then please chime in and elaborate on this, because it has me very curious. I'm working on a full video review of the Battle Network 4.5 patches in question, and after finding this, but not much further information, I really just wanted to spread the word to try to learn more about it. So far, I'm very much enjoying my playthrough of this patch. Battle Network fans have been going through a dry spell recently, with there being rumors of a Battle Network Legacy collection, only for Capcom to then say that anything new from the EXE series has been delayed because of the current state of the world. But this will definitely give me my fix until we can get a new official release. But what do you think? Was Rockman EXE 4.5 just built over the skeleton of Battle Network 4? Did this patch simply uncover an existing mechanic, or did they have to reintroduce it? And while we're on the subject, what's your favorite game in the Battle Network series? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.